We back on? Okay. Sorry for the little blip there. We're playing. We had a new router put in this week, so we're just seeing what's going on. So we did our classes this summer. We're hoping to get Seth Apter's weekend event in September up really soon. He will be here for a trunk show with his new fabric line, and
we have a special event in August. On Monday,
the Bernina 990 Magic.
Magic, yes, Magic's coming. So we are going to have an event that is from 1 to 4 on Monday. And you know how special this is because I'm going to work on Monday. We have Mary Beck from Bernina, who, I don't know if you know, but Mary Beck wrote all the big books. So,
awesome.
Oh my gosh, yes. So we will have an event for those of you who want to see it, and to those of you who have put a deposit in with us for the 990, we will have a show and tell event then. So,
and from what I understand, it really does help to go ahead and reserve one,
yes,
because those will be the first ones to go out. I know I put a reservation in, and I was 1,073, and that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So make your reservation. From what Judy's telling us, it's going to be a pretty awesome machine.
Yes.
We were a little skeptical, but she's heard.
I've heard. Yeah. Yeah. So we're just heard that it really is magic and it's wonderful. So definitely email us if you have any questions on how to do that. You know, we will continue to sell them after the pre-order session is over.
But it might take a while to get them delivered.
Might take a while to get them delivered. So that's what you want to know.
And then the final announcement is we are participating in the Mid-Atlantic Shop Hop, which starts, it'll be all of July and all of August. We are working hard to put together kits and some fun things and some nice gift ideas so that when shoppers come in, we have more of what makes us unique.
Yes. Yes.
So because there's 96 shops, we have to show that we are creative finds for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, we're part of the WonderFil Block of the Month, where definitely birds is always a wonderful thing to do. These are a couple of the blocks that we finished with birds. Now, what that means is you have 12 blocks, technically one a month, but I don't know about you. I operate in spits and spurts, so I might get 2 done and then 1 done, and you know. So we have
we're team tagging.
Yeah, we're team tagging them, definitely. So what we did is, if you bought the block, you bought the thread kit, which is still available, and you can jump in on this at any time, and then paid for some closed classes Zoom. So this is our first time Zoom in. I think we did pretty good on Thursday. I think it went really well. And so what we're talking about is, okay, now you have the foundation of the blocks. What can you do that's different? You know, Chris added buttons here. We're going to add some different trims here. I switched out some fabric. What can you do to make this block of the month yours? So that was a big part of it. Then we talked about, well, now that you're hand stitching, what can you do that's very similar to this project? And Chris has got some really awesome examples. Like, look at, we have over here, there's this, we have all these pre-cut felt kits. One is a fish, one is a house, one is a butterfly. There's multiple kinds. And look at this, you can just take off. Isn't that awesome? Chris did that one.
Well, and the nice part about these, and what I learned is, okay, I bought the blue kit to make mine. I was always intimidated because it says you had to use, you know, it's their suggested colors of 8 eleganza and 6 Ilana. Well, I have a collection of those threads, so I chose colors that were in my selection. And then it's like, once you start, it's like, okay, what am I going to do with this? Well, this is Too Cute to Spook fabric that we have in for Halloween. And it was like, it was a perfect. And I had this little sun, which I needle turned applique on from a challenge several years ago that Sally Ann gave me, just some absolutely gorgeous fabric, and I treasure it, so I use it sparingly. But it was a fun project to do. Easy to do. You know, you sit in the morning or sit in the evening. I do it with my coffee and a glass of wine, not together. Different times.
Show them what you did. Now, the other thing is that we have these patterns already in here. So if you join the Facebook group for Block of the Month, WonderFil Block of the Month Facebook group, there's some interaction, some pictures, and the patterns. So you don't have to buy these supplies to participate. You can do it your own way. We have some people who are allergic to wool. Well, let's do it in cotton then.
Well, I don't know that these patterns are free. The free pattern, I think, is the paper piecing one.
Oh, well, because we're not doing that one. Yeah, we're not doing that one yet. So we did do these, and then Chris did this one too. So again, we're showing you how to make them unique and individualize them for you, which is, you know, that's kind of our theme song, is make it yours.
So what I did for both this one and this is I like the size of these. They fit nicely into like an 8.5 inch square. So I actually used tracing paper and just traced right on the pattern.
Yeah.
And then cut them out of this one was all, these happen to be the merino wool that we have, the Suspargo wool, but I had some hand-dyed wool, so this is what I'm doing for the hummingbird. So it really gives you a whole different perspective. I love this, but this one I'm going to use, as you can see, I've got some painter's thread, a little bit of sparkle. I think there's French knots and sparkle. But I've got a whole different look, so it's some dyed wool, and then it's a hand-dyed piece of fabric that I picked up here years ago. Gorgeous piece. And that'll be like a little wall hanging. So the patterns have more use than
just the single block, and that's really what we're trying to show you. Are there any questions so far, Kyle?
Leslie says good morning.
Good morning, Leslie.
She's always good about it. So one of the things I've learned, and when you go in, when you get your wool, you get all of the pieces, and whoops, all of my patterns there. Then they'll tell you what stitches, and they give you some basic instructions on how to do the stitches. The tassel is something I hadn't made like this before. There's instructions in the flyer, in the pattern, but WonderFil actually had a reel on. It was a really short reel that Stephanie did this week that showed her making the tassel. And it was like, oh, I mean, I used a little card. She wrapped the thread around her fingers 20 times and then shows you how to cut it and fringe it. To put the tassel on with the thread and then tack it down so that you've covered the top part of it. And I think what we did the other night in our Zoom live, our hybrid meeting, was we showed these stitches. So what we found was the people who participated hadn't started yet.
Yes.
And so I think we got them started by giving them some instructions. And the people in the audience decided they weren't going to work on their block. They were going to test their stitches on a piece of Osnaburg. And that's what I'm going to do. So I just opened yesterday the parrot, which is the next bird. So this is the parrot pattern. And there were 2 stitches in there I hadn't done before. So the basque stitch and the bullion stitch. So I haven't done those before, so I looked them up. I watched a couple of videos, and I'm actually going to practice those on some Osnaburg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Osnaburg is very inexpensive. It's a wonderful woven fabric that is easy to stitch, and it's actually recommended by Ruth Chandler in Modern Hand Stitching. So that's an easy enough thing to do. A yard is like $5. It's really not very much.
Well, and then that goes to, in her book, So if you get hooked by buying this and you want to get into it, I mean, this,
which we assume you will.
this is Judy's book. I had mine a couple weeks ago, I think. But Ruth tells you how to make the stitches library in the book. And it's a great way, this is on Osnaburg, it's a great way to practice your stitches, practice it with different threads, practice it with bigger, no boundaries, that you get to do all different things.
Right. So she tells you how to construct this book in her hand stitching book. So definitely, if you really enjoy the hand stitching, there's lots of places to take off.
And this is a fun way to actually try it. I mean, this is the buttonhole stitch. I think I told them the other night that it used to intimidate me, and I had to get her book out every single time. And it's like, okay, where do I start?
Do I start at the top? Do I start at the bottom?
And that's the nice part about her book, is she actually has very detailed where your thread comes up, where your needle goes down. So she shows you the basics, and then she's got the no boundaries. And you can see this is a fly stitch, and then there's Judy's fly stitches with all different weight threads. And it's actually fun. Running stitch is my favorite, but this is
mine too.
This is like French knots. So French knots and running stitch, but this has actually given me a chance to try some new stitches. And
well, and it also, the blocks are wool, but in my head, I'm going to put them together with cotton. So that's the other thing, is it's giving you permission to mix wool and cotton. So this cotton's background the background is cotton. We have these wool pieces. Chris did this little fun spring, and it allows you to say, yes, it's okay if you mix it.
Well, and the other thing is, on this one, it reminds me that you could do machine, and then embellish it with some hand. So you could stitch them down with machine.
You could use your decorative stitches on your machine and do the whole thing with your machine. There you go. So, and then this one is, again, working with different texture. These are sweaters that have been needle felted a little bit, wool, hand-dyed wool, some beads, and then I have it surrounded with cotton. So again, this, start mixing these textures up with what you have and what you're doing, and it adds so much interest and layers and depth to them. So it's really good.
Well, and this one was a fun one. So this is the canary. That was the first one. And then this is a Esther McLeod, I think, in the pink fabric. But I just thought the bird looked wonderful sitting in the flowers. And, I've got some buttons. I didn't put the little wool. I put a button in there. I did buttons. I did French knots. Simple quilting, and then it's a quilt that's on a artist canvas, just stapled onto the artist canvas. And that's the same way this one's done. It's just fabric that I pull around and staple it on.
I think that's great.
And I just fused a little quiltlet onto the fabric before I do it. But then it's a nice way just to hang a single bird rather than waiting to make the whole quilt.
Exactly. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about was tools. And of course, I forgot tulip needles. Chris is going to go get them now. So we have the Modern Hand Stitching book. That is always the first book that we recommend that you get, because not only does it tell you how to produce some stitches and how to do them, nice drawings, but then it tells you how to go past that. Then we have what I think is a little more technical book and maybe gets into more complicated stitches, which is Creative Stitching by Sue Spargo. And this, we understand, is being redone. This is a second edition, so I guess there's a third edition, so we don't have these right now. You're welcome to pre-order them. We will probably figure out a new cover or something. So these are things we think you need. These are the really cute little scissors. chenille needles, tulip chenille needles, and I always recommend that you buy the fixed pack first. This is a great, awesome little needle holder, and I have some really tiny scissors that fit. These almost fit. They'll do. And this is magnetic, so I can throw my needle in here and it's going to stay attached. And we have these in multiple colors: purple, indigo, green. This is a teal. So,
and then we're going to be making some kits for some wool needle books. So you can make your own needle book with some wool and some fabric and just keep all your
arty
needles.
Designer ones. Yes. Yeah. And as Chris and I said on Thursday night, we do not keep track of our needles. We just pull what we think we can get threaded and we use it. So somebody will say, "Oh, what needle did you use for this thread?" And we'll be like, "The one that worked." So we don't mean that mean. It's just the way it is. We just always make sure we have an assortment. These kits are great. You can buy the pearl cotton by the spool. You can also buy them in, this is a little less yardage, but a greater variety. These 9-pack, these are 12 packs. And we're putting together some custom packs and some custom sewing and things that we think should be good for the shop hop. It'll be great.
And what I found was, because I do have several of these from a whole bunch of different projects, that's, I mean, how I just go and I picked based on what the colors were of the felt flowers that were in the kit. Then I just picked out some threads from my stash that I thought would go fun with the flowers.
Yeah.
So I didn't use the recommended colors that they used, but I did find that it was just, I used what I had.
Well,
yes.
What you liked. I always think that's important.
Like, do I need to buy this and 14 things of thread? Yes, if you don't have thread at home.
If you haven't started the thread collection,
yes,
you might want to do that, but you don't have to do it with the colors that they tell you. We all believe in making it your own.
Well, and the other thing that is also in making it your own is you can use, when you're doing your stitches on these, I mean, they show stitches. We're doing the stitches they recommend because we're making a sample for people to see in the shop and show them on our video. But you can add whatever stitches you want.
Yeah.
You can embellish them the way you want. The one thing that I did on this one that I started working on is they have you, the kit says to do a buttonhole with the Ilana thread. So for this one, I actually did a whip stitch with a 12-weight thread.
It really small.
It really worked. The 12-weight is, I think, pretty much the same size. Well, I think Ilana is a 12-weight.
12-weight, yeah.
So, I mean, you can't, once I get my other, decorative stitches on there, but it was just enough to hold the fabric down so that when I go to play and do
and I think that's really important, because what it does is it puts everything in place, and then you don't get frustrated having things fall off or move or punching your finger with this pin that's holding it in place. So I thought that was a really nice step. I can't say that I did it before, but I will do it now after.
Well, and what I did for these was I actually put a little bit of glue stick.
Glue stick works great too.
On the back, just a tiny bit in a couple spots just to hold them in place. So there's no pins. I don't have to worry about it. But the glue stick worked just fine.
Right. And what it is, I actually
maybe they could have beads on them.
Oh yeah, that's coming. We're going to do beads on them. We're definitely going to do beads on them. And Jenny Lyons, I think it is, did a test with the new 505 glue stick. It's on Facebook. I'm like, okay, we've ordered it. Yeah, we've ordered it. It's a great tool. I mean, those of us who are in mixed media, we just use regular glue stick. That doesn't matter. But, if there's a special one.
Well, the 505 is so good for basting your quilts.
Yeah.
I actually use the 505 spray, so I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I sprayed my canvas so that the fabric stayed down before I stapled it.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I thought of one other thing, and it's gone out of my mind.
Any questions?
Oh, but
how do you spell Osnaburg?
Osnaburg.
Either
Osnaburg.
Either BER or BUR. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
We'll put the link to the Osnaburg because we sell it here in the store.
And we do want to tell you, we did record Thursday night. If you didn't sign up for the Zoom class and you would like to be part of the future Zoom classes, it is up and it is a class and you can still sign up and join us. And we will mail you the recording, email you the recording. And, you know, we'll get you involved in the chain of comments and questions and interaction. So you still can, we still encourage you to sign up.
And I think our next event is like August 29th.
Yeah.
So you have time to get the kits, get started. And I told them on the Zoom the other night that I'm Stitches and Quilts on Facebook and Instagram. And if you have questions, you can message me that way and I'll answer. It's a little bit easier than going through the shop message or email.
Right. If you want to use my personal email, Judy at artisticartifacts.com, that's okay. But Chris is right. We get a volume of things and
it's just easier to track them in one place like that. And I'm on social media throughout the day for the shop, and so she
sees everything.
I see the messages come up and will respond as soon as I can. And if I don't know the answer, I'm usually then telling somebody in the shop, could you follow up with so and so?
Yeah.
Oh, I know the one other thing that that Judy was working on the other night was she was actually doing her own version of the canary on wool, a wool backing other than this, and she's going to put it on a by Annie.
Esther and Ann.
Esther and Ann, pre-cut wool. I think the book cover was
book cover.
Yep. So stay tuned. We've got more ideas going. Yeah.
So it's really,
we could do this.
We could do that. It's just a jumping off point. So, we hope that, you know, if you're interested, it's beginners, it's experienced, it's all ranges. So, you know, please join us. We'd love to have you.
And what it is when beginners to all ranges is a good, this is some really basic stitches and each kit adds some new stitches to your library. Right. So that's really fun it does teach you a few new stitches on each one.
Right.
You get to do the last ones.
I know. All right. No questions? Anybody watching?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gwendolyn says good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, hi, Gwendolyn. She's always on Saturday morning.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks. You know,
well, and it was so nice the other day when we did the Zoom that I think it was Louise said she watched my hand stitching Facebook Live like a month or so ago, and she said I was so inspired I ordered the kit. And I forgot to say,
kit. You did.
This is our latest quilt that Marta made using Tilda Jubilee.
Yes, she did, Jubilee.
It just came off the long arm yesterday morning, I believe.
Pennants. I don't think it's called that, but
it's
that's
a free
what it
pattern. Like. But creating memories, Tilda's new huge collection. Huge. How many pounds was it, Kyle?
Oh, of the
515 pounds
of fabric is now up on the website for pre-order. We cannot put it in the shop or ship it until June 15th, but
I would suggest pre-ordering.
They worked hard yesterday to get it up for pre-orders, and it comes in fat quarters, fat eighths, charm packs this time.
Oh, that's a
charm
first.
Packs and yardage.
Okay, that's a first charm
And they've got
packs.
some great, they're seasonal, so there's colorways for each season, but they all mix and match as well.
From one collection to the next all mixes and matches really well.
So look for that, and then we'll be doing something more with this. It's not even trimmed and bound yet.
That picture you posted of me is not me angry. I was pushing 500 pounds.
You were just trying to figure out how you were going to move it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good Saturday.
Yep. Be creative.
Happy stitching.